So what I might do, a lot of this relates to my experience and the way things work for me. So many of my tips, strategies, suggestions, tactics will be relevant to all, but not all of them. You know what I mean? So for me, obviously, I ran private tours, so the way that I was able to cut through probably differed slightly to the way that a different type of experience that runs public or ticket or scheduled tours would. But anyway, let's just dive into it. I'll save a little bit of time for some questions afterwards, and we'll see how we go, shall we? Cool. All right, so how to grow sales through hotels. So I guess the first thing that I really wanted to say is that, like anything, certainly any element of growing your business, if your process or your endeavors are random, they're ad hoc, they're inconsistent, they're chaotic, you don't follow through on things, then you're just not going to have any success, bottom line. Okay, so really good things happen in my experience when you've got a system in place, when you're sticking to a process, and when you see the process through. And also when you have the ability to put yourself in the shoes of others and understand that there's other things going on in people's lives. And so if you're not getting the cut through or the responses you want, it may not just be because I think you've got a really shitty experience, or because for these other reasons and these doubts and these negative thoughts that creep into your mind. It could be for a whole set of other reasons as well. So map out a process, stick to the process, and I believe you'll have some success. The people in this program run tours, experience activities in all corners of the world, in many, many different markets, some in cities, some in remote locations. So it is going to differ a little bit in your ability to have, a certain level of success. But yeah, look, I'm sure a lot of it will be relevant to many, many. Okay, so on that note as well, what I would always recommend, and what I recommend with every part of your business, especially sales strategies, is that you are time blocking. And by time blocking, I'm talking that you are setting aside dedicated time for this task and this task alone. So that means that you might decide that your endeavors to grow sales through hotels is going to take up 2 hours of your week. All right. And you are going to block out an hour on Tuesday afternoon, an hour on Thursday morning. I don't know whether that's realistic. It could be more, it could be less. But that means that your notifications are turned off, your emails shut down, or other distractions, and you literally set an alarm for the agreed time that the alarm goes off, and you dedicate yourself to that and only that. Okay, so for me, I used to do, I think, probably about an hour twice a week, focused only on nurturing hotels. Okay, and no, that wasn't pounding pavement, hitting up concierge desks. That was a lot more of that was back end. I relied on my team of tour guides to do a lot of the face-to-face stuff, but not in the early days when I was like a one-man show. And I obviously, when I was starting out, I had a sort of a chaotic, ad hoc, random process that I did my best to refine, hone, improve, and make consistent. So anyway, hopefully that sort of makes sense. So basically, if you break it down into steps, the first step that I would recommend, and the way that I did go about it, the way I went about it, is to first of all build your database. On that note, what I would just say is this: when you're talking about the value of hotel business, now I'll just grab something here just to give you a sense. So this is my revenue, like the breakdown of revenue at the time I sold my business. And when I sold my business, I was doing just under $3 million a year. Okay, and over 10% of that came from hotels. So 15.6% in my final year, hotels and other tour operators. So probably 10 to 12% was hotels. So if you break that down, it's let's say 2.8 million. 10% of that is 280,000, 12%. So probably $300,000 in bookings came from hotels and hotels alone in the year that I sold my business. So, there's a lot of operators that would do anything to have a business that was doing 300,000 in total revenue, let alone just through one channel. Okay. So it's really, really valuable. And for me, it was important because it was the first sales channel that I implemented. So when I started my business, I got everything set up, my vehicle, tour descriptions, and like the company structured, and everything was great. And my brochures printed. I was like, right, okay, what do I do now? phone's not ringing. Like, how am I going to get my first customers? So it was city hotels. That was where I got my first traction. And the beauty of it is that you can get traction fairly quickly. And that was almost what enabled me to create the platform to then, launch on bigger things and implement sales channels that reaped greater rewards, but took a longer time. It was like a slow burn. Hotels allow me to get the sales flowing fairly quickly, generating enough revenue to get a bit of traction, so that I could focus on things like growing agent business and the corporate market and things like that. So it's very, 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 very valuable. So the first thing I would do would be, before I start pounding pavement, is to create a database. So I want, again, this is the way I did it. So you can just take a lot of this stuff and you can digest it and apply what you feel is relevant to you. I had a database where I probably had 10 to 20 top ideal targets, okay? Really strong alignment, perfect hotels with the right type of in-house guests that were right for my tours. And then I probably had about 40 to 50 other properties or hotels or accommodation providers that were like, little bits and pieces might come from here. But I'd be focusing my energies and nurturing the relationships with those top 10 to 20, but marketing to the other lot as well. So it was fairly simple. It just sort of looks like this. I've had front desk / concierge, and I had groups and sales. I'll tell you about that in a second. So just hotel name, email, a mobile or a cell phone, position at the hotel, and then any sort of insights on guests, like a bit of demographic about the guests. What type of customers does that hotel have? Okay. And then any specific notes related to outreach or calls or any stuff, that had come from our outreach endeavors. All right. So that was what the database looked like. And it was just a case of populating that. So when I was creating this database, I had a fairly good idea. For me, it was the Melbourne City hotels. So the other thing I just wanted to point out is that, I was doing $300,000 a year in hotel bookings when I sold my business. When I started my business, it was just me. It was just Josh, one van, pounding pavement, the only guide, wearing all the hats. Okay. And I was running tours in Melbourne, which, it's a lovely city. It's got a lot to offer, a lot of great regions. But ultimately, I think it ranked in that year like 83 in the list of the world's most desirable cities or destinations. So it's not like I was running tours in New York City or London, or you know what I mean. It is possible to have a lot of success. But for me, it was the Park Hyatt, the Grand Hyatt, the Westin. So I had a fairly good idea. But what I did do is then speak to my tourism association to get their insights on any hotels that I'd missed. My local visitor centre. This is who I am. This is what I do. This is the style of my tours. Who would you say would be the best fits for me and for my tours? Which hotels would you be looking to partner with and to really, really try to nurture and build relationships with? So that was really, really helpful as well. Okay. And, I spoke to other tour operators, listened to, sort of word on the street, and also spoke to tour operators in other cities running similar types of experiences to mine about the hotels that they had a lot of success with. All right. So a lot of those hotels, of course, have there's a Westin in Sydney and there's one in Melbourne. So speaking to the private tour operators up there in Sydney and getting a sense of where they get most of their business from. So hopefully that makes sense. So then the next step was just simply to call the hotel and find out who the gatekeeper or the decision maker. This is not a sales pitch. You just pick up the phone, speaking to the receptionist, switchboard, front desk, whoever it is. Like, hey, just had a quick question for you. Who's the best point of contact as far as, the front desk, concierge, someone who books tours, attractions, or activities, restaurants? Who's the go-to there? Have you got a team? So you don't even need to give any information about what you do. All right. So generally, they're pretty happy to help out. And it's very, very easy. You could ask a few more probing questions. Oh, great. Have you got like a team there? Or is there just one senior concierge who runs everything, or you've got like a bunch of concierges with autonomy who book their own sort of things? Is there like a generic concierge email, or do you have individual emails for the concierge team? Do they have like one cell phone that they use, or does every concierge have their own? Like you could just go, depends on how receptive people are. You might do it over 2 calls and get 2 different people, or 4 calls and get 4 different people on the front desk, but you want to start building a little bit of a profile. You can do all this, from the comfort of your office. Okay. So you're getting a bit of a profile. And then the next one, you want to be, and you may not do this immediately. This may come later, depending on your bandwidth, but you want to find out who like works with trade or industry in different destinations, and who looks after like incentive groups or corporate groups, or who, if let's say, for example, you've got an agent who's running an incentive trip and they're staying at the hotel, who's the person that they're working with to organize that? Okay. So that director of sales generally would be the person, director of sales and marketing perhaps, but someone there different to the concierge team also has a lot of opportunities that you could work with them on. Okay. So what you don't want to do is talk to anyone just yet. You don't want to start pitching, presenting. You just want to build that list. Okay. So that's name, email, position, and information on most represented sort of hotel guests, as I showed you in that database. So if you're wanting to tackle it in a two-pronged way and start building the database, and maybe seeing if there's a way that you can start working with the hotel from a group's perspective, tailoring, handcrafting experiences and finding a place in their programs for their incentive groups, things like that, then, you might even be a bit disingenuous here and really get someone to be receptive to talking to you. Just say, hey, look, this is who I am. I run Melbourne private tours. I'm actually working with an agent and an agent from Singapore for this incentive group that we've got coming in for 30 or 40 people. So it's looking likely at the moment, but they're asking me to recommend a few city hotels. So I thought of you guys. Would you be a good fit for this for the Singaporean market? Are you the person who looks after like incentives and things like that? You know what I mean? So you could you could get creative, okay? And you never know what comes from it. Okay, so they might think of it as an opportunity. They'll be pretty keen to learn a little about you and what you do. And yeah, you're not being entirely honest, but look, at the end of the day, you're trying to help them out down the line. So, anyway, that's something like a little strategy that could work as well and worked for us. So then you begin your outreach. You've got your lists, and that outreach. Look, I've shown you examples from the coaching program. I'll just jump back over here. I haven't written a hotel specific outreach email, but let's just take a look at this one, because really you're going to be able to use this and hit on a lot of these key points. There's a long version and a short version, and these outreach emails, I guess one thing I would say, okay, so like a lot of you have seen this outreach email template. There's some explanatory notes there, and what you want to do is very similar. This is who I am, this is what I do. And then, like, what a concierge or a concierge team loves more than anything is for you to stroke their ego, to make them feel like they're really good, really important. Okay, so something along the lines of, everyone I speak to raves about you and your concierge team. Like seemingly no one has their finger on the pulse like you guys as to what's going on in Melbourne. And, something like that. So I'd love to work with you really closely. Make them feel special, make them feel like you've checked them out, make them feel, everyone's going to lean in when you make someone feel good. Okay. So yeah, even stuff like I've said here, everyone I've spoken to says you guys set the benchmark for, like insider experiences. You got your finger on the pulse, you get the best tickets, the best restaurants, reservations, blah, blah, blah. So go as hard and heavy as you want there. Okay. And then, I would probably, doesn't need to include all of these things, but little background, what you want to do, what a hotel wants is to see that you've been around for a while, you're of exceptional quality. So you might point them to some reviews. You got bandwidth to deliver at scale consistently. Okay, those things are really, really important. And you're a little different to others. Okay, so this stuff here is really important. And that's what an agent wants to see is very similar to the stuff that a hotel wants to see. And you could even specify in this section. And so here's the deal with hotels, right? And this is relevant. And I'm sort of bouncing around here, but this is relevant. Hotels have got their preferred operators. Yeah, they might have one or two. Then they might, but what happens when those one or two are fully booked? Generally, you're speaking as well, a hotel has a guy who, like, let's call him Simon. He's got a slick Mercedes van. He's like the world's greatest tour guide. He's awesome. Everyone's like, oh my God, this guy's just the best thing that's ever happened to tour guiding. And they want to have a relationship with Simon. But what happens if Simon's booked? Okay, has Simon got another Simon in his company or another Simon after that? Generally, no. Okay, so you can outline and highlight that to a concierge. Look, I understand that you've probably got a preferred operator. You might even have 2 or 3. Okay, that's cool. The different thing about us is that we have, we're greater bandwidth. We've got a range of top shelf tour guides that have got the most elite training in them by me personally. And so we can deliver consistently at scale for you. So when you call us, you can be assured that my first, second, third, fourth, and fifth tour guide are going to be able to deliver the promise at the level, at an elite level. Others aren't going to be able to do that. Okay, so I'm totally happy being your third or fourth, but just let it be known that you're going to get, I'm sure you can think of better ways to articulate, but I'm sure you understand what I'm saying. So. And a concierge will say, yeah, okay, great, I get it. Yes, nodding along. Okay, right, fantastic. We'll give these guys a shot. So that's the outreach, and it's not going to be dissimilar to your agent outreach. And then at the end, you're going to want to have a call to action. Okay, so it's what I'd love you to do. What's the next step? Okay, that's the first. You don't just want to sign off. This is who we are. This is what we do. This is what we're great. Yours sincerely, because they're like, okay, that's awesome. What do I do now? I'll just have, so you want, there's got to be some kind of, what's the next step? Here's what I propose. You want to learn more about us, something like that. If you look at the short version over here, the short outreach email, which is just a different style of outreach email. This one is a lot shorter and punchier. And here, you're keen to learn more. All you want someone to do is say, hey, yeah, I'd love to learn more. Okay. And the concierge would be that person as well. Okay. So that's when your outreach starts. And then, where am I? So what you want to do, you want to have, ideally, you can play around and test a few different versions. You can base them off those that are in the program there. But there's going to be a promise of a follow-up call. Okay. That's a really good idea. You're going to leave it a couple of days, and then you're going to call, and you may not get them. In the meantime, they might have come back to you, and they might have, ideally, they're going to say, "Wow, this is amazing. I'd love to have you come in." But I'll talk about that in a second. But you with your follow-up, you need to be prepared that some of the best stuff that happens takes 3, 4, 5 follow-ups. It could take weeks, okay, before someone actually finds the time to acknowledge you, take a look at what you do, look a little closer, and take things to the next step. Okay, so you need to be prepared for that. Don't take it personally. A lot of people fail when they get to this part of the process, send a couple of emails, hear nothing back. I'm like, oh, clearly they're not, they don't rate me, they don't value me. They've got others. Well, I'm just wasting my time over here, and that's just like that's how people fail. Okay. So you need to be prepared for a bit of a long game with the follow-up as well. So, you're gonna just go around in circles. You're gonna give the promise of a follow-up call, and you're gonna call them. You might not get them. Okay. So then you're gonna send them an email. Hey, I tried to call you, couldn't get you for blah blah blah. That's fine. So by all means, reach out and let me know when's a good time. Alternatively, I'll try again in a couple of days. Okay. You just keep going round and round in circles, and eventually you're going to get your man or your lady. Okay. So that's what you want. And what you want is a green light. Okay. Which is going to be like, yeah, great. Love to hear more. Send something through, come in and see me, and so, or something like that. And then what you want to do is like kind of grab the bull by the horns and actually try to, like gently run the process for here. Well, that's fantastic. So what I ideally love to do, and you probably start here, is a whole bunch of stuff. Ideally what I'd love to do is get you and your team onto one of my tours, one of my experiences, see firsthand what we do. Okay. So, but you don't leave it at that. You're like, so when's going to work? I'm completely flexible. I will build it around you. I can do it in the evening. I can do it in the afternoon. I can do it in the morning. You tell me when you can get some of your team together, and I'll take you out and I'll show you what we do firsthand. Okay. So that would be the ideal. As a second option, or in addition, or concurrently, I'd love to come in, grab 15 minutes of your time, always specify the time, okay? And run you guys through a quick training presentation, okay? And then, like you might do these things over the phone, or you might do them all in the body of an email, but then like as an absolute minimum, I'd love to just come in, grab your coffee and introduce yourself, So anyway, over to you. I'll wait to hear back from you. I'll follow you up in a couple of days, okay? So they've got the three things that, that you'd love to do. If you want to know how to run a really good quality for mill, go over to, I haven't got it up on the screen here, and as part of the program, you guys have got this, the local market recovery training. I think it's step 4 or step 5, running a familiarization trip. Okay, so there's a bit of a strategy there and some tactics and tips for running a really good quality for mill for either hotels or for agents. Okay, and you actually do want to follow through in running a for mill. And what you want to do is put it out to a whole bunch of hotels and run them all together. Okay, so come up ideally, and you can plan it over a month or so, but get 20, 30, 40 concierge. I don't look, it depends on the experience that you run, and it doesn't need to be the whole full shebang. You could do a little highlights version just to give them a taste of what you're all about. Okay, your attention to detail, your customer service, your experience, doesn't have to be the entire, because it's impractical if you run a 12-hour coastal tour or something, you know what I mean? So, but just to give you a little taste, you can lean on some of your suppliers to help you out and to cover a few costs, but that would be a great one. So your presentation. So with the hotels, you want to do 2 things. You want to have some marketing materials, which, as an example, you can see mine over here. And where am I? Okay, so I'm going to break it down into 2 parts. So this is not the training presentation. These are your tour descriptions that they want to have on hand at their desk on a tablet, ideally, to present to their in-house guests at the desk. Okay, and they want to have this on a, they've generally got their own tablets. Okay, you don't want to be going to the expense of buying tablets for a concierge team, but that you want to have a set of tour descriptions like this that have got the tour summary, they've got your highlights, your inclusions, ideas to enhance the experience. You've got the duration, and this. I had a hotel version of this, which had a retail rate without a net rate. Okay. All right. So, but then you also want to have a training presentation where you want to train the concierge team. I haven't got an example, but to give you a sense of what it would include, you would have, to start with, you'd have maybe a cover page. Okay. And then the next page would be like who we are, why we're different, and like 4 or 5 bullet points. Okay. Why we're world-class, why we're different, you want to just clearly hammer it home that all the other guys over there and girls over there, yeah, they're really good at doing this and this and this, but we're a little different, which is why you should take it seriously. Okay, so what are your points of difference? And then you could even bullet point some of the key features, like the bandwidth, the passengers you served last year, all those things that I mentioned in that outreach email, some key features, fleet of 10 vehicles, whatever it is. So you want to, key features that are actually going to be, positive rather than negative. But you want to give them some really good key features. And then that would really be all from that side of things. And then you'd have your tours. But imagine, okay, I'll give you an example of how it would differ. Your presentation to your tour description. So let's say your presentation has got one hero image, a whole dense bit of text here. So your presentation, you might break this down into 3 or 4 pages, okay? And you would have a hero image on each page and like 2 or 3 bullet points. breaking this down into 2 or 3 bullet points. And then the next 2 or 3 bullet points and another hero image on a different page. So you're just talking them through the tour. They're looking at a hero image and a couple of bullet points, okay? While you're actually, so they're not reading through anything. And then you might even have the highlights and the inclusions on another slide as well, okay? So, and then, you know, other stuff with the presentation, it could be, you know, something along the lines of how to book us, or how to make things streamline the process, or how to make the booking process easy, or anything else that you think would be really relevant. Okay, so that's what you would have as far as a presentation. All right. I'm going to push on here because I've got a few things to cover. So that's that. And then again, people make the mistake of thinking that's it. The job's done. Just wait for the phone to ring. Far from it. Okay, this is when the game begins. All right, you got to keep front of mind. You got to do it creatively. So I would suggest, you know, 1 communication a week, or maybe 1 every fortnight, and it could be all kinds of different things. So, you know, just think about how you could be different, how you could be helpful, and how you could cut through the noise. Okay, so could be like, wow, there's a new deli, or there's like this awesome salad bar that's open this little hidden laneway down the road from the hotel. It just does like these amazing takeaway salads, you know, ever like health conscious environment we live in, blah, blah, blah. So you could alert them to it. You could even turn your phone around, just go, hey guys at the concierge desk, hope you guys are doing well. I was thinking of you. I just came across this awesome thing. That's the name of it. Check it out. And it's this new salad bar. I've just got this beautiful buckwheat salad here. It's absolutely to die for. Took them 4 seconds to prepare it. Anyway, thought it'd be something you might recommend to your hotel guests. Have a good day. And you just send that as like you upload it to a YouTube, flick over a link. Hey guys, I saw this, I thought you'd really appreciate it. And you could do that to all of those hotels. Okay, that's one thing. Then the next week, there might be a little bakehouse that does these like amazing coffee custard donuts to die for. That's just like, you know, stone baked organic, and you might just drop one. You might get a tray of 10. It might cost you, you know, $50, and just, hey, you know, and you might send them a message or email them. Oh man, have you guys checked out this new little bakehouse around? It's unbelievable. Send your guests around there. You know, it's this little hidden gem. Drop one into the hotel. Okay, it's like a $3 or $4 thing, you know. Or it might be hey, what's on in town? Thought you guys might like to know there's this new festival going on down the road, or they're doing this fireworks display this week, or this, you know, like something that a concierge may or may not know about. They're like, wow, this guy's really thoughtful. This guy's really thoughtful. Thanks so much. Or it could be like a new vintage that's at a local winery. You understand what I'm saying. Then the next one would be if you are serving their hotel guests, some feedback, positive or negative. Just want to give you guys a heads up. These guests were saying these things about the hotel. You know, they love this thing. Like, you know, this was the best part of it. You know what I mean? So that's really valuable. What's new with your tour company? It would obviously be a great one. We've just expanded our fleet of vehicles. We've just got this new tour that we launched last week. We've just employed a new operations manager. So, you know, like everything's going to be more streamlined. We've just improved our communication. Like we've just got a new reservations girl. So, you know, you've got her on speed dial. You know what I mean? So something new like that. What else? You know, links to recent reviews. And yeah, so look, just a message of video is awesome. If you can just turn the camera around and do something meaningful in a 30-second video, upload it to YouTube, send the link over. So just this stuff doesn't have to mean you pounding pavement, doing all like the same thing that every other person does, which is spend 6 hours pounding pavement, doing city hotels, saying, hey, just thought I'd say hi. You know, you guys busy? Nah. Okay, here's a few more brochures. Cool, we'll keep you in mind. Thanks. You know what I mean? That's what everyone does. So do something different, and do something that is actually time effective as well. Okay. So just front of mind and be helpful and be thoughtful and be considerate, and they will really appreciate this stuff. And also, any updates with your staffing, any turnover, any new team members, any new email addresses, any new contact numbers, make sure you are all over that, asking all the time, okay? So that first opportunity, nothing else matters other than those guests making a beeline for that concierge desk and saying, you're the greatest thing in the world. thank you for recommending that tour. They experience, like, our time here wouldn't have been the same without it. So whatever you have to do to get those guests to do that, because it's a wasted opportunity if they go straight to their room. Okay. So walk them through. I would really appreciate it more than anything else if you could just take a second to just head over to the concierge. There it is, just over there. Just tell them he had a great day. I'd really appreciate it. You know, so that stuff is gold. Okay. And then I guess the last thing here, I just wanted to run through things that concierges love. And so the first one obviously is commission payments. All right. So you want to know how it works for them. Be mindful, no matter if it's commission payments, booking processes, whatever it is, you need to work in with their systems to make it as easy as possible. Okay. So do you guys accept commissions? Yeah. What level of commission? Well, 10 or 15 or whatever. Great. That works for us. No problem at all. How do you guys like to do it? Do you like us to, is it against company policy? Do you want us to grab a quick coffee once a month around the corner and blah, blah, blah? Do you know what I mean? So you need to work in with their processes. They love to be valued, respected, and feel special. So whatever you can do. Sure, look, I'm just doing this for you. Okay, I'm only doing this special thing for you. I'm only offering this thing for you. Whatever you can do to make them feel special, valued, and respected. Okay, be on speed dial. Don't make them wait, because there's nothing that annoys a concierge more when you've got Mary and Bill from the US standing in front of them at the desk, and the concierge is like, ring, 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 ring. No, sorry, can't get them. And like, they're under pressure. They want that. They got guests in front of them. They demand a solution. So whatever it is, they'll call you again. If you answer in 3 rings over and over, they will call you again. I can promise you that. And on that note, a can-do attitude. If you can't help them, don't say you can't help them. Tell them how you can help them. Okay. I.e., look, really sorry, Joe, but I'm actually on tour with a group as we speak, so I can't help you right now. Okay. But look, what I could do, could you just ask, Joe and Betty there, how would they like it if once I drop this group off in 3 hours, I just collect them and we'll do like a highlights version after dark of the very same tour. We'll shift lunch for dinner. We can do cocktails on a rooftop terrace, and it'll be an amazing experience, just a little different to the way that it normally runs. How would that go? And they might come back to them and say, look, they've got plans tonight, but they say thanks very much for being thoughtful, and maybe next time. You know what I mean? So think about, if you can't do what they want, what can you do alternatively? Okay, do anything you can to help them. All right. I think I sort of covered this one. You may not be the first or even the fifth. And look, we also covered this one as well. So just, they're the things that concierge loves: reliability, consistency, bandwidth to deliver at scale to the same quality, to a 1 and to a 7. Okay. Again, I ran private tours, so this may not be wholly relevant to you and your experiences, but I'm sure that you understand. Nicola, you're running walking tours. So can you take 2 or 3 other bookings, and you're in the process of getting other guides to deliver? Is that third tour going to be to the same quality that your tour is going to be? And can you assure them that's going to be the case? Because they'll love it if you can. All right. You know what's actually great is the day you can say to a concierge, look, to be quite honest, it's been great looking after you and your hotel guests for so long, but I can promise you, Joe, Jeff, Peter, and Brian, they're better tour guides than me. They do what I do better than I do it. So you're in safe hands. Trust me. Okay. And that day's that's a great day. Is there any other opportunities for you to work together? Like, again, that goes back to the director of sales and marketing, the person who works with overseas groups, could you just discuss with a hotel about some kind of a package that you might create together that might include accommodation there at the hotel? Is there something you could work on together? Okay. And again, yeah, well, as I say there, what can you do for the hotel? This stuff might come a little way down the line when you start thinking a little bigger and getting a little bit more kind of creative or adventurous in the ways that you partner or collaborate with hotels. Okay. And again, I covered this one. So the key is for you to just put your hands up and say, look, we've got some great processes. This is the way we generally do things. that being said, what's going to work for you? Because I will do what it takes to work with you. And if it's easier for you to book us by working within your parameters and your systems, that's fine with us. Okay. And that's, you know, you're going to have a lot of traction and cut through by doing that. So I'm trying to think, there was something else that was just on my mind then when I was finishing up, but no, I think it's escaped me. So anyway, that's like a really short, sharp, step-by-step how to, you know, win hotel business. And as I say, I'm hoping a lot of that will be relevant to most tours and activities. And like you've you know, it's sort of shifted your perspective, or you've got some new tips or strategies and that you haven't considered before. Yeah, I think, you know, if you follow through on a lot of these sort of, you know, these core processes and these, you know, innovative ideas, then I think a lot of you can have some success driving some serious business through hotels. Okay. Any questions?
I've got one, Josh.
Yes, Melinda, how are you?
Yeah, I guess my thing is always my concern being a solo operator and having one vehicle is, you know, about the demand side of it and not being able to meet the demand from hotels. So what would be your advice? Would it be maybe minimize who you've outreach to, or what would you suggest?
What's like, it's a mindset thing, first and foremost. So the people who enjoy a lot of success are the ones who make brave decisions and they give themselves good problems to have. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
A great problem to have is, holy hell, I've got 3 bookings in 4 days. What on earth am I going to do? So that they're great problems to have, and we solve those problems. I used to solve those problems all the time. Okay. So that's, yeah, you know, you can't talk about specific instances, or, I mean, you obviously at the moment you're running scheduled experiences, so which makes it easier. So there's ways that you can mitigate by starting planning, by starting to recruit guides, which you don't need to have a promise of opportunity now, but you need to have a bunch of quality people that you have in mind that you can turn to at relatively short notice. Okay. So yeah, that would be, you know, probably my greatest advice is that you need to grow from where you are today to the point where you're running 3 or 4 tours potentially a day, which is entirely possible. It's not a great leap, but it does take a couple of scary steps. And everything you need is in the program: the training processes, the training agreements, the recruiting tips and strategies, you know. So that's ultimately, there's a little bit of planning. What you need to do is have a little bit of planning for someone who's just starting out and go hard at sales, and be prepared to put your foot to the floor when the opportunity presents itself, and fast track all of the other stuff, you know, the operations side of things. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No,
what I would love nothing more than would be for you to send me an SOS at 8 o'clock on a Thursday night and say, please help me. I've just had the biggest success of my short career, and I've got to deliver X, Y, and Z over this coming weekend. What on earth am I going to do? And then we'll figure it out. Okay.
All right. Cool.
And then you'll figure it out, and then you'll be set up for success.
Yeah.
All right.
Cheers.
Guys, I've got a hard stop in 5 minutes.